You're listening to Life Strategies with Monique. Get ready to be empowered and inspired.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Life Strategies with Monique. I'm your host, Monique Petaway, and I have with me a very special guest by the name of Robin Owens. Robin is the creator of Purpose-Based Decision-Making System. This program helps high-achieving women, entrepreneurs, and leaders get more done. And I know there's some women out there who absolutely want to get more done in their life. And she also helps them enjoy their work more and have a greater sense of purpose. She is also the author of an upcoming book that is entitled Purpose-Based Decisions. And this is an inspirational guide to more meaning, purpose, and passion in your life, business, or career. Robin also has over 15 years of experience in researching, teaching, and studying meaning. And you guys know how much I love the word purpose. So she's right up my alley today, talking about purpose and passion in the lives and works of women leaders. And she combines her experiences in business, social work, and her higher education to bring a unique perspective to her commitment to empowering women, entrepreneurs, and leaders through her purpose-based decision-making system. Robin, welcome to the show. I am so glad that you have decided to share with us your journey.
I'm so glad to be here with you and all your listeners. Just a joy to be here and talk with you today.
Well, that is awesome. Well, Robin, you are in a field that is something that I absolutely love because I believe every woman has purpose. Every woman has meaning in their life. They just have to find out what that meaning is. But what I want to do today is I want to find out what brought you to that place of wanting to help women find more meaning, more purpose, and actually getting more out of their lives, because you've added a twist to it, because women have so much going on and they're doing so many things, and you absolutely want to help women get more done. And I know that's a task because I'm always multitasking.
Yeah, I want them to help get more done because if you're doing the right things, you can get more done. Because a lot of times we spend time doing things that are not the things that are in line with our vision and our purpose. And we end up spending a lot of time trying to get to that point. And so if we focus on doing the most effective things, then we have more time.
Okay, well, let's take us back on that journey which led you to writing this book called Purpose-Based Decisions and the programs that you have developed to help women become more high achievers. Tell us about that journey and how you got there.
Okay, I'm going to start off. I have 2 stories I want to tell you about that.
Okay.
I know you didn't ask me for 2 stories, but I will tell you about 2 stories.
Okay.
Right. So for the first one, I want to go back to when I was a child, because I believe this was always in me. And I say this because, for many of our listeners, there may be things in their childhood that connects with them as they hear our conversation. But when I grew up in Connecticut, I say the great state of Connecticut. But anyway, I grew up in a 3-family house, which my parents owned. And there was a big front porch in the front, right outside the door. And so my sister, my brother, and we had several cousins all living within the 3 floors. And so one day, all the cousins were kind of inside in the first floor where I lived. And so I went out onto the front porch where I often went as a child. Now I'm talking about 7, 8 years old. So I went out to the front and just sitting out there and looking across the street and looking at the trees. And so then I hear some of my cousins, just laughing and playing in the background, and they're about to come outside. And my father says to them, laughing, "Don't go out there and bother Robin. She's out there contemplating the meaning of life." And he laughs. This is so funny. It was a joke, right? And so I immediately felt embarrassed because they were laughing. He was laughing, and I felt embarrassed because I felt strange, like I wasn't doing what the other kids were doing. And now, as an adult, looking back, I think about that story and I say, he was right. I thought he was joking and making a joke, But the truth, since a small child, I've always thought about the bigger questions of life.
Mm.
Why are all, just big questions? How do we get here? What is the meaning of life?
Yeah.
So it started very early, apparently. I didn't know it. But this current path, how I got on this path, and this is the second story I told you, I'll say, started over 20 years ago. I was living in Connecticut still, working, young professional working. Went with my good friend, Monica, to her college homecoming. So it was like a reunion for their college homecoming. Now we're in Connecticut, and we went to North Carolina for her homecoming, just for the weekend. And at the time, I was still living with my mother, late 20s, still living with my mother. Before we left the homecoming weekend on that Sunday, on that Monday, it was a long weekend. It was in October. That was a Columbus Day weekend. So I called my mother before we left to say, okay, we're going to the airport, and it's like 1:00 now. I should be there by 4:00. She says, okay. She tells me about her day. Yeah, I walked downtown. I had a nice walk. The Jehovah's Witness came by, and she talked to the Jehovah's Witness. Now, she wasn't Jehovah's Witness, but, she's just telling me about the conversation. She enjoyed the conversation. And so I said, okay, we're gonna go to the airport now. She says, all right, tell Monica I said to take care of you. And I said, what? She said, well, she's older than you, isn't she? And I'm like, yeah, not that much. Okay, well, just tell her I said to take care of you. So, okay, all right. So we hang up. I'll see you later. So I tell Monica, I was like, that's strange. She said, tell you to take care of me. And so we didn't know what to make of it. We just kind of shrugged our shoulders. So we get back to Connecticut around 4 as scheduled. And since I had a couple bags, Monica said she'd come in and help me with the bags and bring them in. So I go in to bring the bags in, and I call to my mother, like I normally do when I come in the house, Mom. And sometimes she wouldn't answer me because she would be in her bedroom praying. So sometimes she would just be on her knees in her bedroom just praying, and she wouldn't answer until she was done. So I thought, she must be praying. So I go into the bedroom, and she's lying on the bed like she's taking a nap. And she has this beautiful look on her face, like so peaceful, and a look that I've not seen before. So I go, Mom, nothing. Mom, nothing. And I know she's not there. But my brain couldn't quite compute that. So I'm just going, Mom. And so Monica says, Robin, call 911 and then call your aunt. So they came, and they were, they tried to resuscitate her, or they were gracious about it in front of me and said, okay, we're going to take her to the hospital. And do you want to ride in the ambulance? I said, no. So I rode in Monica's car. We followed the ambulance, got to the hospital, was there maybe, short amount of time, 15, 20 minutes. The doctor came out and said she had passed away. She had a heart attack.
Wow.
Heart attack in her sleep.
Wow.
Needless to say, I was shocked. I mean, I just talked to her.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what to do with myself because we were so close. We're kind of like best friends. We really appreciated each other. And we had the conversation about how we appreciated each other. It just really was a nice connection. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do now? My whole life revolved around her. That sent me into a whirlwind. Like, why am I here? I guess harken back to the questions I had when I was a kid. Why am I here? What is my life all about? What is the purpose of my life? So I had been going to church, but then I really started going and doing deep Bible study, looking at all the passages related to calling and purpose and life after death, and doing all that for at least hardcore, when I say hardcore, deep study for the first year, and then it continued. I went on and ended up going to seminary and continuing my study there. So fast forward to today. Now that's over 20 years ago.
Mm.
All those years of searching spiritually, emotionally, academically, I could say today that I found my purpose.
Wow.
I live every day fulfilled. Honestly, I have meaning, passion, and purpose in my life. And that's not to say my life is perfect and that I have everything that I could ever dream of. That's not what makes it fulfilled, right? But
Right.
I have it. I could say it. I have it. And I'm grateful to have it. And I do this work because I want to now teach other women how to have it.
Mm. Now you mentioned three words that that I love, and that first word you mentioned is having meaning, and you say purpose, and then you say passion. And
Yes.
the two words that I hear the most, and even in my line of work as well, helping women, we always say purpose, we always say passion, but you don't hear the word meaning. Meaning.
Right.
What is the meaning of
Yeah.
life?
Yes.
Did you talk, and I know you've done some deep study on this, and this is what I want my listeners to get today, in the work that you do on what meaning has to do with all of this.
Yeah. You make a good point that we talk about passion and purpose, but sometimes we overlook this idea of meaning. Because without meaning is the thing that adds fulfillment, right? It has to translate, it has to get down in you in a way that is satisfying, right? And then it is meaningful. It has to get down in you in a way that is satisfying. So I think they work together. Like you pointed out, just can't have passion or purpose. It has to mean something to you.
Mm-hmm.
It has to mean something to you. And I don't know if we take the time to slow down and think about what's meaningful to us.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, and this is how I came to this, as I was doing that soul searching, and I was also in a job at the time that my mother passed, in a job that my goal was, I was a social worker, and my goal was to make a difference in other people's lives. And so I thought, well, that's where meaning came from, right? Because it's a service. I was investigating child abuse and neglect
Mm-hmm.
uh, for children and families in Connecticut. And I thought, well, if I could make a difference there, because I was thinking about, I was guided by the verse in the Bible that says, if you've done it unto the least of these, you've done it unto me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was my only guide. And so I thought, well, I'm providing service, so I'm making a difference on my job. What I learned later was that was just one part of it. That was service, yes, and yes, making a difference, yes. Because, and how I say I'm making a difference, because I thought, well, these kids have to go through so much, so much hardship. At least if they have someone who cares about them in the midst of it all, that's a way of making a difference. And even if I did it for one, right? So that was my goal. So looking back, that was service. It wasn't fully meaningful to me because I didn't express my authentic self. Now, I'll say more about that. Authentic self meaning my passion was not there. I care about people, so that was sort of a passion, but really there wasn't a deep passion in me
Mm-hmm.
related to that. So it was just the service.
Mm-hmm. And that's a totally different feeling when we talk about that passion and that service. It's like there's two ends of the spectrum. And as you're saying this, I'm totally relating because, because I'm in education, and so I work with students. I work with the high schoolers, and I'm often there because I know it's a service that the kids need, and I am definitely making a difference in their lives. But when it comes to having that true fulfillment, that fulfillment from me, like you, comes in helping true women, because it's a totally different feeling.
It
It's
is.
like you're grinning from ear to ear. You're like,
Yes, I'm with you. I'm with you.
It's different. It's totally different. So I totally get that. And the other thing you said was your authentic self. I love that. I absolutely love that. Your authentic self, because that means you get to be just you.
Yes.
It's not tied to a job. It's not tied to anything else other than you, what God has called you to do and purposed you out to do in your life.
Yes. Absolutely. That's authentic. That to me, it's being the best of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best of who you are. And I think we get at that. We just talked about, passion is not passion alone, but passion does have a role. Passion does have a role. I believe that God gives us the desires of our heart.
Mm-hmm.
That to me doesn't only mean that you want something and you get it. It means those things that are deep down inside you that you want to do, that is given from God. That's a gift. If you say, I always wanted to paint, but I don't paint. I remember I always wanted to paint, but I don't paint. Or I always wanted to be a mother. Or I always wanted to take care of kids. Or I always wanted, there's something down inside of you that passion.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's something not just always wanted to, but recently you said, oh, I feel like I should do this thing or that thing. I believe that's part of God speaking to you.
Yeah. You know what I find interesting about passion, as you're talking about that desire that is deep down in you? The one interesting thing about that is it never leaves. It always comes up. I don't mean, and you could be sitting and you could put it down for a while, but it sits in the residue. It never goes away. And so that is like, it just lets you know, okay, that's what you need to be doing, because if it keeps coming up and it just does not die and it continues to be a desire, then you need to say, okay, obviously this is a passion that you should be working toward because it's not dying.
Absolutely. That's an indicator. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I agree wholeheartedly. If it's not letting you go, you got to express it. Because oftentimes if you don't, you wonder why you have these what I call diseases of unfulfillment. Why am I tired all the time? I don't know why I'm tired all the time. Well, you have these things that doctors just can't figure out what's wrong. It's not too serious, but you got all this inflammation or something. Sometimes I think when we have that passion, that dream, that call inside of us, and we don't express it, your body's like, you got to let it out. And it's telling you that.
I love that. Diseases of unfulfillment, which
Yes.
causes you to almost be restless or rest.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Wow, that is interesting.
Yeah, I got that notion from a book from a guy who's a psychologist, Gay Hendricks. And he over his years of as a therapist, psychologist, talking with clients over the years, he recognized this pattern. And he uses that term, disease of unfulfillment, because oftentimes that was what was going on in his clients.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about a little bit about what you do now in terms of, your purpose, your passion, and helping women find meaning in life. Elaborate a little bit about what you do so that my listeners can have a full understanding of your work.
Okay. So I'm teaching this. You mentioned this in my bio, that I'm the creator of the purpose-based decision-making system.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is kind of a mouthful, right? But the way of thinking about it is, if you make decisions that are in line with your purpose, then you have meaning and passion and purpose in your life, right? And the way to get at that is if you make decisions in alignment with your authentic self, the best of who you are, the truth of who you are. Make your decisions from that place. And I think it's not as difficult as we think. In my opinion, to be in alignment with your authentic self, it means to do things in alignment with your gifts, your abilities, your strengths. I'm using those words interchangeably, gifts, ability. Is that connected in there some way? So that's one. Also, do what you do in line with your values, those things that are important to you, the things that matter to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third piece of that is do it in alignment with your passions. We just talked about the desire, which I think is a God-given desire. All those things in service of something bigger than yourself. Make your decisions based on all of those things in service to something bigger than yourself. Now you're making purpose-based decisions.
Wow. Wow. Can you say that one more time? Because I want my listeners to really get that.
Okay. In order to, I'll say it a little bit differently, right? Okay, so you say, suppose your listener says, well, how can I find my purpose, right? How can I find my purpose? I would say one way to get at it is your passions, right? Your unique, this thing that we said, the desire, your passions. It's a combination of your passions, your values, those things that really matter to you, and your gifts, strengths, or abilities. I'm calling those one things. So the things you love, the things that matter to you, and the things you're good at, in service to something bigger than yourself. That's your purpose. Make decisions based on those, in alignment with those. Those are purpose-based decisions.
Wow. Wow. So to my listeners out there, I hope that you are getting this, because Robin has given us a mouthful today, and we've had an amazing conversation about purpose, passion, and definitely meaning. So Robin, if my listeners wanted to reach out to you or find your book, how can they reach out to you and get more information?
Okay. I would love for your listeners to just reach me at my website, purpose-base.com. purpose-base.com. And the reason why I want you to come there is because I created this checklist just for you. The thing that I just said, walked you through how to do it in alignment, just follow the checklist. You have a decision to make, follow the checklist. It will guide you. I made it for you. I'm trying to get it in the hands of as many women as possible to help start changing their lives so they can have this meaning, purpose, and passion. So just go to my website, purpose-base.com.
Awesome.
Purpose-base.com and download the check. It's free. Just download it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Robin, I mean, you have really enlightened me today. Because I love what you're doing. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm such a proponent of purpose, meaning, and passion in women's lives. That is something that every woman in this world needs to do. And what I love is that so many women now are absolutely chasing after that. They really want to do that. A lot of women are going into being an entrepreneur, which I know that's also who you focus on, entrepreneur. So my listeners out there, if you are looking to find that meaning, that purpose, and that passion in your life, and you are a high achiever, and I know that there are some women out there who are high achievers out there who are wanting more in their lives, definitely, I'm asking you, definitely reach out to Robin. She is absolutely your go-to woman if you want to be that high achieving woman and have and make purpose-based decisions in your life. So Robin, thank you so much for being on the show today, and thank you for giving all of these wonderful nuggets to my listeners today. And to my listeners, make sure you go to her website, www.purpose-base.com, and download her checklist. I mean, you will not regret it. I know you're going to absolutely love it. So once again, thanks for tuning in to Life Strategies with Monique. Until next time, stay educated and empowered.
You've been listening to Life Strategies with Monique.